All right, well, we got a bit of an impromptu unboxing video here. Got an exciting model in here, I think, hopefully. Already cut my shipping label off. I apologize, the camera work's gonna be crap. This is very exciting. This model I found just recently on eBay. It was last weekend it popped up for pretty reasonable, at least in my opinion, for what it is. That box is. It's the Empire State Express Hudson. I don't know what it is, but this box is ludicrously heavy. Oh, this is so neat. We'll do the tender first. Wow, that thing is a brick. Holy moly. Wow. I'm gonna need to clean it up some. I wonder what happened to it. It's got all this ugly splattering all over it. It's not rubbing off easy. Looks like this thing got left. I need to swap the coupler for a Katy. It's not a problem. Doesn't look like it came with any paperwork, unfortunately. It's the deck plate and front coupler. Traction tire tool. Smoke fluids not included, unsurprisingly. Spare driver without the traction tires. Ooh. That's a very heavy locomotive. I thought it was going to be lighter. Ah. Seller did not mention the drawbar's busted. Doesn't look like it's awful, but there it is. It's in decent shape. Needs a cleanup. I should have asked them to send more pictures, but for what I paid for this thing, I'm not honestly surprised. It's a beautiful looking engine. All right, well, I'm gonna dig through the box, see if I can find any more spare bits, maybe to try to piece this thing back together. Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate, but I think I can make it work. So, yeah, hang tight, and hopefully we'll be back with good news. Well, the layout's been powered up with no short circuits, so punching in address 3, hitting F3, and hopefully yeah. I did find the drawbar screw in the box. Topped off the smoke unit as well, because it probably hasn't had fluid in it ever. Yeah, might need a little adjustment.
Drop those dead cold.
Just the headlight. There's a cab light. I can't really see it. Oh, that's so neat. Oh, and it's got the illuminated drivers too. I forgot about that. Oh, that's so neat. I'm a little bummed the smoke unit's not doing its thing yet, but oh man, that was a beautiful whistle. That has got to be the nicest sounding MTH whistle ever. Alright. I'm gonna hook it up to a train, get it running here. So we're over here on the workbench now. I did run this thing for a little bit, but I noticed that it was having problems. I had set it up with the, I'll pop it off here because I can. I set it up with the smaller tender deck plate so I could run it in closed couple mode. And then it just kept derailing, pulling a moderately light consist. All I have is Riverossi. Empire State Express cars. Here's one that I'm working on right now. That's the whole reason I bought this engine, because I have 9 of these, and I figured that this would work okay. So I was a little confused. I was like, all right, well, maybe it's just because the tender connection's close. I did go ahead and clean this thing up too. It looks light years better now. Just got some Windex and a paper towel and some Q-tips and cleaned it up. I think I still got to do the wheels to some degree. But the issue that I'm running into now is that when this thing goes around a curve, the center drive axle completely lifts off the track going into a curve. And as you'll see, this is kind of the critical axle because this has the traction tires on it. Now, traction tires are neither here nor there thing for me. Some engines, for example, my big boy and Challenger, I do not think an engine of that size needs traction tires by any means, especially of that weight. But I think I've narrowed it down to what the issue is here. And that is that every axle has a different weight of spring on here. So the front axle, which has most of the lateral play, as you can see, is really, really stiff. Super solid springs here. The main axle, barely any pressure at all to get that to move. Like, it does not take much to push that down at all compared to the front end. Like, you can see I really got to put some weight into it to move that axle. Maybe you can. But yeah, this, barely anything. Rear, average. It's like a regular medium weight spring. So I don't know if that's the main issue. I'm going to try and maybe flip some things around. I don't know if I want to put the super strong springs on this axle, or because it seems like this is bearing most of the locomotive's weight right here. Or maybe I need to put the more solid springs on the rear and then put the medium springs in the center. I'm not sure yet. We're going to try moving some things around here and see if that improves performance. Well, this just keeps getting better. Don't know if you can see it, but the gear is cracked. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Right between those teeth there. It is split. I was test running it and it started making a thumping sound, so I'm guessing that this is already in progress. Man, just when I thought I was getting somewhere with this thing. All right, after quite a bit of trial and error, we finally got the gear swapped out. All I did was I just took the non-traction tire driver set and just pulled the wheels and put the existing wheels back on, or the traction tire equipped wheels back on. So now I have a completely useless axle or wheel set, but that's okay, because now at least I know that this thing's going to be able to tow. I'd prefer, obviously, if the non-traction tire equipped drivers would be enough for this thing, but they aren't, unfortunately. Even with as light of a consist as I've got, those are the basically the bulk of what this thing's pulling. They're just a bunch of IHC cars, like I mentioned earlier, all modified. This one's the oddball because it's one of the newer IHC cars and doesn't quite fit with the rest of them. Those will look half decent though. And the only reason I have these is because the MTH Empire State Express set is quite pricey. And actually it would cost me more than I paid for the Locomotive to own the whole set. So yeah, the passenger cars are kind of out of my price range, but yeah, I'm really happy that this thing is off the workbench and capable of doing the thing on my layout now. It's been a lot of fun test running this thing. So I managed to black out the wheels on the pilot wheels, painted those black, and then painted the tires and driver centers silver to match. So it gives this engine a much more cohesive look. I am over the moon with this thing at the moment. Smokes great, runs great, couldn't be any happier with it. Absolutely beautiful model. So now that we've basically gotten through the entirety of tearing this locomotive down, getting it back on its wheels, and all those other fun things in regards to its operation, I did kind of want to talk about this locomotive as a whole from MTH and how strange it is that this thing was considered for a time one of the rarest and most desirable MTH locomotives, and I'm sure it's still a very desirable model, but considering what I paid for it, I'm a little baffled that this was sold for that low, unless the seller knew that there was something wrong with it, which I'm pretty sure they did and just didn't say anything. But yeah, these things normally go, I think have gone like well into $1,000, or sold for well over $1,000 in some cases. They're not exactly cheap models. I mean, MTH as a whole is really starting to take off in value depending on the locomotive. I mean, I've seen, obviously you guys have probably seen it too, the DM&IR Yellowstones that are going in the thousands. There was one on eBay that sold recently for, I think, close to 4,000, or at least bid up to 4,000. Now, granted, that could just be a troll bid, but in a similar case, I saw an MTH Big Boy, one of the 2020 releases, that sold for about $1,800. That was impressive considering I used to have one of those, and kind of regretting getting rid of mine now, but that's what it is. I think the subject of MTH HO as a whole would be a very fascinating video, kind of just my general thoughts on it, maybe give a little bit of background and history into how it came to be, all of the ins and outs, the controversies, the electronics, my honest thoughts on it. In my opinion, these are my opinions, obviously, not everybody else's. You're entitled to your own opinion when it comes to MTH. But for what I paid for this locomotive, which I paid about $350 for this thing, I really can't complain. In fact, I don't think I've paid over $350 for a single MTH locomotive. Well, I take that back. My 765 was about $400, but that was a little bit of an exception and not the rule. But everything else that I have MTH wise, I've paid less than $350 for it all. I've been really impressed with being able to find bargain MTH on eBay and swap groups and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't really know what to say in terms of whether this locomotive is still considered rare or not. I would imagine at this point, maybe. Yeah, it's kind of up in the air, especially considering that Well, I guess it would be, given that this is the only one on eBay that's sold, and the only reason it sold was because it was so cheap, and at least to me, considering I've seen these things sell for well in the thousands. Well, not thousands, but at least over 1,000. I figured it was definitely worth picking one up. I mean, I'm honestly think I'm a bit more of a fan of the Dreyfus Hudson myself, but considering once again how inexpensive this thing was compared to what it normally would cost, it was worth it to me. If you're looking to pick one of these up, um, I don't think that it is necessarily worth $1,000. Maybe to some people it is. To me, it was definitely worth $350. I can vouch for that. This is definitely a $350 model. But then when you've got a brand like Bachmann that's making, you know, a diecast Dreyfus Hudson coming out sometime this year or next, and it's costing about $400, and it's of comparable quality to this, it's hard to say that these things really retained their value. They are nice models, and MTH should be applauded for picking a prototype like the Empire State Hudsons, considering that they've only ever been made by brass manufacturers or Rivarossi in plastic. And I would not be surprised if Bachmann goes ahead and makes one of these or these locomotives for the future. But yeah, I would definitely not pay more than say $350 to $400 for one of these if you can get it just right. I mean, 500 is probably the absolute max, but it would have to be in pristine condition, never run, no issues, obviously no cracked gears, never been smoked, and you can tell where it's actually come from. I took a gamble on this, and I knew I was taking a gamble. Turns out the gamble paid off on my end, but yeah, it's kind of a, I guess it is subjective, and it depends on if you actually really like MTH or not, but I think this was a decent model. If you guys want a full in-depth review, please let me know. I'm not really, this thing's already been covered a few times by various other YouTubers, but I would not mind doing a deep dive into this engine, giving some general thoughts. I'd need a little bit more time to compile them, but yeah, I think it's an excellent model for what it is and for what I paid for it, especially. So I guess at this point we'll throw it on the track and give it a test run around the layout. I'll probably throw my Mohawk on too. It's got a set of pacemaker cars to pull with it now, so we'll get both my New York Central locomotives from MTH running and wrap this up. Thanks for watching.
Step right this way.
Thank you.
All aboard! I see the conductor checking his watch again. Must be time to go. Conductor's giving us an eyeball signal. Let's get down the line.